Hello everyone, Tebrith here, and I've got a question for all of you. Recently, I've learned of the genre hero shooter, home to names such as Overwatch and Marvel Rivals. So, my question is, would Team Fortress 2 qualify, or is it still just a first-person shooter? Anyway, for this past week, I've been experimenting with all the different unlocks for Medic. It was rather interesting to say the least. However, as some commenters have mentioned a certain playstyle known simply as Battle Medic, a fun little experiment came to mind. How would I go about making the most viable Battle Medic playstyle? And so, that's what I tried to find out. In the end, the loadout I've found that works the most with a combat-aware medic is the Crusader's Crossbow, the default Medigun, and the Amputator. And before I explain how I went about putting this loadout into practice, I'd like to get one misconception out of the way. The idea that, as a combat medic, you are to forego all pretense of healing your team in favor of going all in on dealing as much damage as possible is not what I call a combat medic. That's just a walking corpse that doesn't know that they're dead yet. No. For what I went with for my combat medic playstyle is healing your teammates and supporting the main fight is still your top priority. However, unlike the standard medic where you're dead on impact if caught out, you've still got some leeway in terms of combat and aren't quite as defenseless as your peer support classmates. Whereas with the standard medic, you're practically glued to just behind the main fight at all times, my combat medic style lets you roam the flanks just a bit. Not enough to get aggressive with it, but enough to make an impact. My friendly scouts, snipers, and soldiers loved me for this. Anyway, the general idea is, with the default Medigun, you do the typical medic thing of healing up teammates and Uber when it's time for a push. However, if there is no main fight going on, you can explore the less populated parts of the map for a bit, use the crossbow to heal distant teammates, as well as deal damage to distracted enemies when possible, and use the Amputator should you get caught out. Not to give chase, but with the increased passive healing letting you be less prone to death, especially if it's a scout or pyro that's trying to get all up in your face. Feel free to melee them in that case. But yeah, other than letting you explore the backlines of the flanks, you should still stick with the healing your team with the default Medigun first and foremost. Save the actual combat medic for the in-between bits if there's no major firefight going down at the time. And even if there is, if you can manage to find a decent place with cover and your teammates are all at least decently healthy, use the opportunity to use the Amputator's alternate fire and do a bit of group healing. That extra little bit most certainly helps a lot from my experience. And that's about it. Experimenting with different loadouts and playstyles to try and find an actual viable combat medic strategy was rather interesting to say the least. Even though I knew going in, no matter what I tried, medic was never going to be an actual power class, finding ways to make him less defenseless without a team was quite a lot of fun. I really enjoy this new alternative way of playing him. Letting me be a bit more exploratory in my options while out on the field, while still being a major help to my team is definitely a liberating feeling. And with that, I hope you all have a wonderful remainder of your day.